The cost of a puppy. So, you got some cash, maybe from an allowance, or that money your grandma gave you for your 7th birthday.
Here you go, sweetie.
Woohoo! Thanks, Grandma! Whatever it is, what are you going to do with it? Spend it, hide it away, or maybe invest it? Let's start learning how to make that money grow. Time to learn how to be a cash kid. Welcome back to Season 2 of the Cash Kid Podcast. Last episode, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary mark, and now we are charging forward with more topics and skills to teach and learn. If you aren't already, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Cash Kid Podcast. Also, head to our website and be added to our mailing list. This is a great way to be part of the Cash Kid movement, to empower the next generation to build super financial skills at a younger age. This week, our episode is the cost of a puppy. We're not going to just talk about puppies, even though that would be cute and fun. Our focus is discussing the difference between a one-time purchase and an ongoing purchase. Do you know the difference? Many times as kids, because we don't pay the bills, we might not understand this concept and have to be enlightened by an adult of the difference. But knowing what is a one-time purchase versus an ongoing purchase is a concept we need to understand, especially before we find ourselves in debt and having to sell back the things we purchased. Yep, it happens. So let's talk about it. What's considered a one-time purchase? A car or a video game? A bike or a cell phone? A puppy or a remote control car? Let's start with a bike versus a cell phone. Before I knew better, I used to think you just purchased a phone and that was it. But then my parents talked to me about how a cell phone is not just a one-time purchase. In fact, just this past week, my 9-year-old brother saw this ad where he could purchase an iPhone 14 for just $5.99. He was like, "See, Mom, I can afford that." Then my mom explained to him to look at the fine print. Yeah, it's a much smaller writing under the large discount price in bold that states it's $5.99 a month for the next 36 months under a contract with the cell phone carrier. Then my mom explained how you'll also need a cell plan, which can cost upwards of $30 or more per month. See, a cell phone, well, to a kid, it just seems like an object you buy once, and that's it. It's actually an ongoing monthly expense, usually for your parents at this age. My brother's not getting a phone. Now, a bike on the other hand, it's a one-time purchase. Except for the time I wrecked mine, and we had to spend a little extra to get it fixed. But asking your parents for a bike is different. There may be some repair costs at times, like a new tire or brake, but it doesn't have to be an ongoing expense like a cell phone. We're going to talk about that puppy and the debate in our house over having one coming up. More purchase comparisons on the way. It's time for a new segment on the show called Stock Talk. If you follow us on social media, you'll see I like to talk about stocks. A lot. Following different company stock prices and what's going on in the news about their company and seeing different prices rise and fall excites me. I found more and more of my peers asking me about the stocks I'm interested in, why I'm invested in them, and how do I invest. Now, I'm not an advisor, but I'm trying to teach my friends and your audience how you can research companies and stocks yourself. So, each episode I'll hit on a stock either I'm watching or researching and why. This week, since we just finished talking about the cell phone, let's look at Apple. Apple became a publicly traded company on December 12, 1980. Their stock price started at $22 per share. Apple's stock has split 5 times since it went public. This increases the number of shares in the company and makes the price per share at a more affordable cost for investors. To purchase a share today, it would cost you $183. If you had purchased a share of Apple just 3 years ago at the stock price of $131, you'd be up $52 at this point. And here's your disclaimer. Keep in mind, any of the stocks I talk about are not recommendations. This is for educational purposes only to see how easy it is to look up a company, analyze where it started, and where it's going to learn how to invest wisely. Hey, Warren Buffett researched companies first. That's how he got started. So I'm following suit. Do your research and seek advice. Let's educate, research, and invest, Cash Kids. That's the stock talk for this week. Alright, let's talk about that puppy. So, many kids want a pet of some sort, usually a dog or a cat. But when you see an ad for free puppies, just know that's not true. Kids don't realize it, but a puppy is a huge ongoing expense. My parents got a dog right after they got married, and let's just say, this dog racked up some expenses for my parents. As a lab mix puppy, he chewed through my parents' deck so bad that they had to tear it down. Then he tore the hosepipe off the back of the house, and my parents came home to a flooded backyard. And he chewed through the lines on the air conditioner at a friend's house. He only lived 7 years, and it took 7 more years before my mom would even consider the chance of getting another pet. It was a debate for sure, as my mom knew a dog could be a big expense. My mom said we have to have a calm pet the next time around, and we found the perfect one in Emma. Another little pound puppy, mixed female puppy, and that is such a chill dog. She rarely even barks. But even a chill dog still requires ongoing expenses, like vet bills to stay up to date on shots, food, heartworm, and tick flea preventive medicines, and having to pay to board her when we go out of town and we can't bring her. My parents have told me stories of how friends of theirs in college will get a pet only to realize a few months later that they didn't think through the expense of having a pet and either had to give it away or have their parents take the pet in. We were prepared for the expense in our house, and the love of our dog is worth the expense for sure. But kids, the next time you ask for a pet, be wise and informed of the expense involved, that a puppy is an ongoing expense, not a one-time purchase or free. I wanted to talk last about a car. I'm about 3 years from being able to drive, and owning my own car sounds so cool. But purchasing a car is kind of like a cell phone, but on a larger scale. If you don't have the cash outright to purchase a car in full, then you have to pay a monthly payment with interest usually to pay it off. Then there's gas and maintenance like oil changes twice a year, plus car insurance and license and tag fees. A car is an ongoing expense we kids need to think about and start saving money for. Many kids start having to get a job in their teens for the sole purpose of having the cash for a car. So, let's set up a budget and savings plan to work towards that. Calculate the cost of the car you want, and think about the monthly expenses related to their car. Then you can be a prepared buyer so you don't end up with a car, but no gas to get you anywhere. So Cash Kids, let's start being smarter about what we ask for and understand the expenses behind it. If we understand what's an ongoing expense versus a one-time expense, we can plan better and be more realistic about what fits within our budget. Understanding this earlier in life can help keep us from, instead of building debt, to building wealth much faster. Remember, anyone can be a cash kid. We just have to learn how to become one. Cash Kid, out.
The information presented represents the views and opinions of the guest. This podcast does not intend to provide personal investment advice. This content has been made for informational and educational purposes only. To make a full and informed investment decision, we advise you to speak with a financial advisor. And for kids, definitely your parents first before investing.